Good morning, my friends. Welcome to our New Testament challenge. Today I'll be sharing some thoughts and reflections on the 16th chapter of Matthew here on Wednesday, September 16th. So, Matthew 16, we're almost smack dab in the middle of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus has been about his ministry for a while, and so really a combination of things are happening here. He has his teaching, he's doing his healing, he's going about across the countryside, going to different places. He's working with his disciples, and but also there's some conflict that's building with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Really, I thought today was an interesting snapshot of the complexity of the gospel. Um, there's a certain simplicity to reach out and touch him and he's healed. Believe and you will be forgiven. There's a certain amount of simplicity to a lot of this stuff, but as we know, the gospel is complex because life is complex. There are things people will disagree on. There are different interpretations, different understandings of life, and everybody comes at the gospel with different backgrounds, different experiences. So my experience is different than your experience. My take on things might or might not be different than yours. That's just part of life. That's part of being individual. It's part of being human. And so I think chapter 16 is a good snapshot of the complexity of the gospel. The first section there, we had the Pharisees and Sadducees asking Jesus for a sign. And Jesus' his response is, you get a sign. You know how to read certain things. You know how to read the sky and tell when it's going to be stormy or it's going to be sunny. But, there have been signs. People are being healed. The hungry are being fed. And you could go on and on. There's a lot of signs out there. He said, but you don't know how to read them. And so for us as Christians, there's going to be times when we look and we see definitively the hand of God in a situation. We can see definitively the Holy Spirit at work. But someone who does not understand, and a lot of times some people will look and say, that's just luck. That's coincidence. And we shake our heads and wonder, how in the world can you miss that? Again, we, because of our relationship, have been given eyes to see. And so we're going to see things as followers of Christ. You're going to see things that other people may not see. It's just part of life, part of how it is. And so one of the joys of being a follower of Christ is that the deeper we go, the more we see. The more we study, the more we listen, the more we worship, the more we serve, Jesus is going to open up so much more to us, and we begin to understand so much more. That's the joy of being a follower of Christ. And then he talks to the disciples. He said, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees, and bless their hearts. That good old Southern term, bless their hearts. Their stupid little pea-picking hearts. He's just talking about bread because we don't have any bread. No, that's not what he's talking about. Jesus is like, I'm using this as a metaphor. All right? Listen to me. He says, beware of the teaching. Test, and as we hear later on, Paul talks about, says test everything. Because it may sound good, it may sound right, but you just need to test it, and you need to check it. Beware of following too closely, taking things on face value. That's part of the difficulty of this, is none of us are completely right in terms of theology. Now, we may lean more right than other people. We may, think but we're all human, and so we're going to make mistakes, and we all have temptations. We all lean in one way or the other, and so if you assume you're right and the other person's wrong, then there's obviously disconnect there, and you'll be less able to learn, less able, to grow. But just be careful, is I think what he's saying about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And then Jesus, I guess, trying to test. I see this. This is Jesus, the teacher here. He's wanting to test the understanding of his disciples. Okay, this isn't just facts. He's saying, all right, let's see if you truly understand. Think like an English teacher. What's the purpose behind? What is the author's purpose in writing this? And so Jesus asked Peter, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, well, some people say this and some people say that. And then Jesus says, who do you say that I am? And Peter, as impetuous as Peter is, says, you are the Messiah, the chosen one of God. Jesus says, well done, but keep it quiet for a while. And then he continues. Once he gets that out, okay, Jesus said, now I can share with you the rest of the lesson. And he talks about his death and his resurrection. And I really think this just kind of goes right over their head. I don't think they completely understand it as of yet. But a good teacher will put it out there, and then we'll come back and go back, here. I want everybody to hear this at first. Then we're going to come back and talk about it, okay? So don't ask any questions right now. Just listen. And so he talks about his death and resurrection, talks about the cross, picking up the cross, and what it means for us to pick up a cross, and what it means for us to deny ourselves so that we can receive grace and receive the blessing from heaven. Jesus is going deep here today, my friends, and so I invite you to kind of go back through, read over it, pray over it, think about it, and see how it might apply for you. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you tomorrow.